All right. What that is. How's it going, everybody? Just gonna clear this out. And third show of the day. We got one more after this. I'm already tired, but we're gonna make this happen. We got Grace Palomino and Robert Stern in the house. So we're gonna see what's going on over on the West Coast with these two illuminated souls that are traveling this ascension together. See what they got to say. Hang on now. Let me see. Unmute. What's going on?
Hello,
Hi,
hello.
John.
What's happening? Long time no see.
Yeah.
Kidding.
In our world, it's like years, universes, galaxies, lifetime. And then it was only
Seems
like
like
days ago.
It seems like it. I know we talked a couple nights ago, but God, everything's just moving so fast. I can't even begin to like figure out when it was exactly. I don't even know. I'm trying to stay present and cognizant. So what's been going on? We talked a little bit. I can't remember anything, so that's good.
Perfect.
Even better.
So in the now moment, right?
Yeah. I mean, people know that you guys have been connected for quite a while, and people know you both individually with the stuff that you do. I think I asked you this other night, but I can't remember. Do you guys have is there a joint mission? Or is it the third energy still out there formulating? I mean, I know Grace, you make a lot of trips down to New Earth. Robert's out there, doing the cosmic DJing and all the things he does. But I mean, is there something you guys are working on together?
There is, we have, since we've been, in our union, I keep attempting to get something out there. And what's happened is we'll get a lot of work done. We come to a point, and then there's always something that happens that kind of breaks that cycle at the moment. And then, there'll be a divine event or a synchronicity or something that we have, a mission that we have to participate in, either together or separate. And then we'll come back together, kind of build that up again. And so we had one going we're going in linear time at the beginning of this year, and then it broke down, but everything is there. So it's all there waiting. But kind of what I remember just from you and Morgan talking a couple of days ago was that a lot of this creation that we're doing couldn't really be created with the old energy still present. And as we can see now, we're really in the super fast deconstruction of the third dimension matrix control stuff. So as that's falling apart, I can tell that, we're in a service right now in our current mode where we're definitely doing our work. And it'll be very amazing to see, you know, how everything we put together will unfold into something that neither one of us really expected. It's kind
Yeah.
of what I'm getting, you know, Grace.
Yeah, and I feel, Todd, you know, what you said was on point, because I feel like for others to really receive what New Earth is really about, they really can't be in the old system. So it really does make sense why our program, you know, it's like our higher selves allowed us to start all this, which is beautiful because we started it and we have it there. But it makes sense that we couldn't fully implement it yet, because I feel for one to really receive it, the old, they have to understand, they have to be awake, because like I'm already in the awakened state. I'm very aware of what New Earth is. I know that I'm here to wake others up. But it makes sense that in order for them to really receive it fully, they're gonna have the breakdown system has to happen first, which makes sense.
And we're there, you know, we're in it right now. This is
And I think it applies to everyone. It's almost like you get an idea, you come together, it flows out a little bit, it starts to take some form, and then we drop back. You know, like we wake up the next day and go, oh, we got to get to work on this. We got to plan this. We got to do this. We got to have a big meeting, and that kills it. Other energy, yeah, it does. I mean, and it comes from us. It all eventually, obviously comes from us, but I mean, in the way it plays out, then we have like, you know, everything is the same thing. You know, it's like if there's an energy of agenda that comes forth, then it, you know, it, like we've started and blown up Sology Network 6 times.
Yeah.
And you know, you know, it's never, it's not a personal thing. It's always the energy that's being presented, in that 3D energy from coming from anybody will not be allowed to be in these 5D creations. And I have no idea how it's all going to look, but I can see it all happening for not just Sology, but for the whole thing. The whole thing is like some kind of interconnectivity with creations and collaborations, and they all overlap almost.
Yeah,
like
and it's beautiful, you know, because we're being connected. We're always being guided and to the right place at the right time. Like when we met in Sedona, and so all these different things are happening, and we're always in those places, and we're connecting people. Like when we can look back, it can be like, oh, I was there, but even though like in my human 3D mind was like I didn't do anything, but I connected these two people together who went and create something amazing. And so if I wasn't there, like that connection wouldn't have happened. And not that there's like that I did something, but it's just like the holding space of it and bringing people together. So it's like we come together, something happens, it expands, and it comes together, it expands. And what I've noticed in my journey is a lot of the things I'll be like, oh, I got to do that. Then I'll meet someone or somehow I'll get connected to someone that's already doing it, and it's like almost done. So it's like I don't even got to do it. It was just like the aligning of it, and then here's a reflection that's already doing it probably better than I would have came up with, and as a whole team. So that was kind of like as a human to let go, because the old Robert was like, no, I got to do it, and I got to be the one to do it. But to then see like, oh, we're all one, and I'm getting this download, and then I'm being connected with this team of people who are already creating it, and then I just have to let go. And that's part of the other thing, is just the letting go, so that I can stay in the flow state, you know, and drive these energies.
So Grace, on your trips to New Earth, they talk about any of this stuff? Do they talk about?
They know what's going on down here. They laugh. They think we're freaking hilarious over here.
Yeah.
They're like, you guys, seriously? The thing is about the New Earth and the difference here, there's many, but one of them that's very unique is that there's no separation there.
That's right.
Here, there's still separation. That's why when, you know, one of the first, I was talking about Avatar, the movie Avatar is home.
Yeah.
They operate as one unit.
Yeah. Yeah, I was amazed. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, though this planet operates in separation still. And that's the thing. That's why they just laugh, because they really want us to figure it out. And the light workers, I feel, are manifesting this on purpose to show everyone, hello, wake up, people, because we're not separate. So
No.
it's just an experiment, they say. They said, you know, it's an experiment to see if we could really do it. Can we really unite everybody? It seems like it's, for me, taking a little longer than I would like, but you know, it's not up to me, it's up to Creator. So I
Well,
just know I'm
things
here to bridge
yeah.
the gap. So
Well, things are moving pretty fast. You know, I was watching, not to point anybody out, I'm only making a point. I've watched Project Camelot, Carrie Cassidy for 6, 7 years. You know, and I don't watch anybody regularly, but I like to whatever the universe puts in front of me. So I was a little bit amazed. She has put together a lot of work. It's very open. It's very investigatory. It's very detailed. But what I noticed, this last thing that she did was kind of an update, and she's taking like all the information she's gotten and saying, here's what I'm seeing, and basically saying that, hey, the Q thing, Trump thing's happening over here. We're talking energy. Like the
Mhm.
good is over here, the dark is over here. It looks like the good's winning, but the dark could come back. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. What about the soul? What about the I am soul? She even made reference to star seeds that were getting information and so on. But what about applying that information? What about these people that are transforming themselves in their environments and operating at this higher frequency where they see there is no dark and light? And that's why I say we're not mainstream yet. We're not even alt news yet, but I believe will be the dominant frequency before too long because it's the only one that can sustain itself.
mm,
That's just my take on it.
Yeah,
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 it's beautiful.
yeah. And it's like once we realize, oh, the left and the right is us, and we're here in the middle, and all that can exist at the same time.
Yeah.
We open up that other frequency, and it's different. That's the best way. You're at a
Well,
much.
we've been caught up in the narrative for too long. And it doesn't matter which narrative that you follow and give your allegiance to. If it pulls you off 0 point, you're off 0 point. You're in balance. Our job is to stay neutral in a
Mm.
world that's losing losing all the things to be distracted by. But anyway, I thought I'd run that one by. I was going to ask
Yeah.
Grace what she'd picked up on it, but that was a perfect explanation because every time I look up there, they're laughing at us, which is us,
Mhm.
which is us laughing at ourselves. So we had you guys on before last year. I think it was last year. Yeah. And you talked a little bit about, how you guys kind of came together. I can't remember, but how did you guys meet?
Well,
What's so interesting,
yeah.
okay, I'll share a little bit and then
Yeah.
he will. What's so interesting about this, I love it. The day that I knew about the 0 point, the exact day I knew, I was at a gathering for Soul Family for a birthday for another really, really wonderful awakened being, Claudia. And I'm there at the party, and all of a sudden, I'm getting heavy download. Like, and I knew, and I had sent you this because he wrote down, he has it written in a page, and I had sent it to you, Todd, about how I got the 0 point information. I had 3 different ships, 3 different home ships. Because really, the 0 point is how we operate, just like on other planets too. That's
Yeah.
why the ships sent me the information. They're like, Grace, wake up the planet. It's time to get everybody back to the 0 point. So I had 3 different ships download me. The day that we met, I knew about the 0 point. So it's like, it's just basically myself, putting myself exactly where I'm supposed to be at the exact time, right? So it was just really unique that day I knew about it. We came together, and he came to actually DJ at that party. And
Oh,
I
wow.
remember going up to him and just hugging him. I really felt his heart. He doesn't remember it fully, but I do. So it's really unique and totally like set up by my new earth presence for us to come together on that day, because now we're holding the 0 point. We've done so much work taught on ourselves. I feel like, we've helped each other so much. Like, we have helped each other lift so much of the bullshit that the 3D operated from. I mean, I wouldn't be where I'm at without him, but I've done a lot of work on myself, but we've definitely helped each other as twin flames, soulmates, for sure.
Mirrors. Remind
divine-
Yeah, it's
divine
definitely a
counterparts.
mirror. Yeah.
Yeah.
pains in the asses.
Yes.
From different modes.
Well, that's
Yeah,
the real deal, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's having that intestinal fortitude, from that higher level guidance, and no matter what happens, you don't even have a choice in the matter.
Mm-mm.
It's like even if you run from each other, you end up getting pulled back, and there's just, you know,
Yeah,
and
and we've been through those phases too. And it's fun. It's interesting because in the moment, the human gets so attached so easily, and we're getting like guidance will come in that you're supposed to go do something or separate, and the human won't want to follow that. So then the higher self will have to create like this event.
yeah,
And the event will be like some kind of explosion where like, okay, we have to separate no matter what. And she'll go wherever she goes and I'll go wherever I go. And then as soon as that happens, boom, like we're on mission, and something else will be going on where whatever was going on between us didn't even matter anymore because now we're on
you
mission.
can't even remember.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. And we complete the mission, and then it's like, oh, then we come back together. But it was like the hindsight's 2020 is like, oh, that had to happen so that she could go over here and do this work, with her fam down in Huntington Beach, like the last one. But they're always like that. They're always these missions. Yeah, it's pretty cool, like how that works. Now, if the human would just be like, okay, I'm getting that little notice, Grace, I got to see you in a week or something, or we just got to go right now. But the human likes to just hold on to the last second, and then the higher self blows it out.
they're very little subtle little loops playing, and they get when you spend more time together, and they come to the surface, and I don't know, it's just, I don't know. I feel like that, and I don't think it's just Morgan and I, but I mean, if I look at like say the last 3 or 4 months, I've seen even 5 months, I've seen people that have been together, they go like that, they come back, they go like that, and it's interesting, but it feels like a lot of that stuff that would happen that was still taking on personal connotations just kind of died away because we are seeing it from a higher level.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, wherever we go, what I notice is we end up absorbing, transmuting energy for others. So like, we've been with my family for a little bit now. And so, there's dynamics playing out here, and then we take it on, and then we play it out between us because, we'll play the role like we forgot what's going on, and we're being that role, and then we play it out. And then because we, hit the culmination, then we can transmute it and then come back to love with it.
You should be a diplomat.
Well, we're co-creators, right? I feel like that's how you are too, Todd. I know you're a co-creator. I'm a co-creator. And that's the thing too. Let me tell you something. It's like we especially just like just the last few days or whatever, maybe there's just been some like irritability, not because of us, but just because of the airwaves and what's going on the planet. And again, we're so tapped in. I feel like sometimes we do take it on for others. But I have really seen where, I'm being tested, or my patience is, and both of us, like we can kind of feel it, but we really work on being so loving, because you know what happens if I get triggered, or if there's an energy that's not of love, it really forces me to center, because then when I do center, or I can even see him, like he's just had a couple things that makes him irritable or whatever, the way that he responds to me is of love. And that the thing is, when we do that, it raises the frequency of the whole thing.
What does that look like? I mean, I hear what you're saying. I get it.
Yeah.
Like for people that are watching or will watch this, like, what does that look like?
So here's, something that I implemented, that really, because it took me a while to get this, and that's kind of, it doesn't really matter how I got there, but for me, waking up in the morning was never my cup of tea. Like I've never been a morning. I've never, just since I've been in this incarnation, never been a morning person. So I don't know when it started, a couple months ago or whatever, but I remember I would just wake up like, just like tired or grumpy. And then I would just start forcing myself to smile. And then I put my headphones on and do my little music, and I see her, and then I would look at her, and then I would just start smiling at her, like all real crazy, smiling, and then she'll smile back, and then we get into like this little smiley, laughy thing, and just that does something, you know, they actually say like when you move your face into the smile, it releases neurochemicals in the brain. And so if you just even if you're like in the most upset attitude and you just do it, those neurochemicals will still release if you hold that pose for an extended period of time, like 20 seconds. And then it's contagious because of the mirror neurons. So one of the big thing with the human is the mirror neurons. And we're very susceptible to each other if we open, you know, especially with family, they just have like a direct gate, right, to bypass all the protection or layers or shields. So we take stuff on very easily, or if someone's in a good mood, we can get on a good mood, or they're in a bad mood, then we get the, but we're natural, amazing transmuters, the new earthers, right? We've learned this through our practices to just transmute easily and effortlessly. So we don't get stuck, you know, or if we do, it's very short, but the smiling thing really helps. I know for us in the morning,
it works.
Like she'll come out, she'll sit at the little thing and get the coffee ready, and I'll just have my headphones on doing my thing, and I'll just start smiling at her.
And
she'll smile back,
like,
and
hey,
and then I'll notice like if I start getting a little like just whatever, like tired, I just smile back, like even some more smiley, and you know, and so we'll do that for a couple minutes until it just kind of like flows in.
Yeah, and then we're in flow. I mean, him and I have been in the 0 point training for a while. Like I remember being at a baby shower like 2 years ago, and it's like close to where I feel like you and I like we probably met before that, but we're at a baby shower, and we've been holding the 0 point for so long that it just shows you how it works, because you're around so many people, but if you hold your center, it really shows how brave you can be and not letting the outside affect you. And this is probably why my higher self knew that I had to train for this, because the longer that you hold the 0, and the 0 point is just being one with self. For me, the 0 point, what it feels like, I'm 0 in the third eye, I'm 0 in the throat, in the heart, and in the solar plexus. So being around others, it just really shows your training and how you can just stay so loving. And, you know, like with him, I'll notice like just if there's something out in the day or whatever that maybe is just like, again, because I know him so well, there's like a tiny bit of irritability or whatever, but I can see how it really changes the way of being in self when he was like, because yesterday I asked him to show me something on the computer or whatever, and I could see he was just kind of frustrated, but he responded so loving. Like he's like, it's like even like using like nicknames, like because I call everybody Heart, hi Heart. Even using the softness of self, it elevates you. It reminds you that there's nothing to be upset at, because then if you are, it kind of like just dampers your day. So, and we talked about this last night, actually, about waking up in the morning and how important it is to set the tone for the day.
Yeah.
So center yourself. You have to
Mm-hmm.
prime yourself.
Whatever we get into, like first part of the day, it does stick around. We could stop and reset it at any point, but the human doesn't like to stop once we get going.
Yeah.
Right. So we could just stop and take a little nap and then restart and come back into a new, I like to call it events.
And we'll do that sometimes, and we'll notice.
We'll use we'll use different tools. Like sometimes if we get into something we're real funky, I'll grab her and I'll be like, let's go, and we'll go into the van and we'll close the door. And then we'll light, you know, sage or a Palo Santo, something just to shift the energy, turn on the music and just do like a little drive. And then just consciously say we're letting that go. And then now we're tuning in with this with an intention. You know,
it works too.
And then we come back and it's like the whole reality shifted.
Yeah. Yeah. Just getting out and moving.
Yeah, moving.
Movement.
Mm-hmm.
And then do you find that you have to discuss things? I mean, do you find that like when you do stuff like that, nothing even has to be said, or do you have to still discuss things?
It can be either way. Yeah. I've noticed it can be either way. Sometimes like there is a point where like saying anything more is just like adding more fuel to the fire. So it is like adjust the silence and let's just get in the car and drive and get out of that energy that we were in.
Either that or get punched.
The car drive, and just put some music on or whatever, and just cruise through. Like I noticed that'll happen a lot of times. You know, we'll just know like the energy in the house, especially with like so many different family members and stuff. Sometimes we'll just get the message like it's time to move. You know, she's really good with that. Like it's time to move, and we just leave, and we don't even know where we're going. We're just like get in a car, like I don't know where we're going, and we'll go do something that like just something that that we're guided to, or something that you know, we'll go get something to eat, or just something that we enjoy, or just go, you know, go over to the hill and just sit there for 5 minutes.
Yeah. So one of the things too is that the women seem to be the one that, you know, it makes sense. They're the transmitter. They're picking up the, you know, more specific guided directed intel. They're just more connected. It's always been that way. And it's interesting, you know, how that plays out because of the, you know, of the surges each gender. We're talking energy, you know, frequency or energy, but that they've made, which shows up to, you know, it's got a very similar pattern in the incarnations for the most part with these couples. They don't all hold, you know, true to the physical incarnation, but typically if it's a man and a woman, the woman's getting the information, she's pulling it down, she's pretty much kind of leading the way, but now there's this other resurgence or reemergence of the true masculine. And it's created a really new dynamic. And it's interesting as we're getting close to Easter, what that's going to look like. Do you have any thoughts on that, Grace?
Oh yeah, it's like Christ's energy coming in. Just because I remember even the first year that I woke up feeling like I could ascend in that energy, meaning probably like actually did ascend through the energy, because I remember doing one of my very first journeys on 4/4 of 17. And I remember that feeling of really feeling Jesus. To me, Jesus is very cosmic.
Yeah.
There's a movie, the little boy that goes to heaven, his dad's a pastor. I feel like it's called like Go to Heaven or something. I love that movie because that little boy talks about going to the other side, and the way that he expresses what Jesus looks like is exactly how I understand him, different than how the human population portrays him. He's got blue eyes, he's very cosmic, and that little boy in that movie, oh my gosh, is amazing. He talks about Jesus. And so for me, it's like a cosmic Christ energy is coming through at that time period of history. It's Jesus's energy is so pure. Being ascended, new earth is a very pure energy. It is like a resurrection fluid. Because when my Kundalini opened, I actually felt the resurrection fluid go up the spine. And it's something that you can't even describe to the human population what it's like, but it's very, very pure. It is a pure energy. So for me, Easter is like, I feel like others are going to be able to feel that cosmic Christ energy of Jesus, the Holy Spirit, you know?
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
And you guys have traveled around a lot too, both together and separately.
Yeah.
As the events have been unfolding.
Yes,
and
since we've been pretty mobile quite a bit.
Yeah.
I would actually say this time period's been one more of the less amount of travel, this current phase that we're in. Even in that we're still pretty mobile, like we still get out there.
Yeah.
But when we first came together, we went on quite a journey. Spirit had guided us from Las Vegas down into Southern California, and then we went from Southern California all the way up the coast to San Francisco, through Sacramento to Lake Tahoe, and then back down to Vegas. Like we did this big like 2-week journey. I remember when that was like one of our first journeys. And then we've been
but all that traveling, I mean, you got the physical fatigue, you got mental fatigue, and you have the mental fatigue of the light worker journey or the nomadic light work journey, which is how we can eat tomorrow. You got the emotional part of it, you got the exchange between the two partners, you've got the external forces, you've got vortexes and portals. then you have all of these events that are happening to us collectively. And over the last few weeks, I mean, have you guys has it been like a more natural alignment? Have you pulled together more naturally? Have you had to focus on it more consciously? Has there been more of a threat to your connection?
No, I would say, yeah, I mean, I more recently, in the last month or so, since I would say this current phase of the ascension that's taking place, that we can call it, the corona phase. It's actually made it much easier for us to be together. We've had way less distortions or any issues between us. So it's actually been very, very smooth between us specifically. So we've been able to maintain our center. Like, I feel like this was like everything we've done before trained us now.
Yeah.
Where now we're really holding our center. We're really in alignment with each other. We're not really having any like any big like energies between us that, and we kind of know, like, I feel like we're much more in tune with each other now. Like, if we need a little break, like it's been much easier for like us to take our little alone times. We actually spend
as opposed to Grace punching you in the face like she used to.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. And so like, and of course you're in like, you're in what, multi-frequency waters, being over at Robert's family. So like, Grace,
yeah,
Grace,
it's very interesting.
Like, yeah, so that's like, because all of us have been looked as weirdos by our family.
Oh,
for
sure.
Now you're in a situation where you're at his family's. The things have changed, kind of leveling the playing field for everybody. I think there's a new perspective. You're seeing people talk about, oh my God, my sister just told me all the things that I've been trying to tell her for 5 years. She just called me to say, can you believe they did this or whatever? But from your perspective, Grace, how is your energy together? The energy that you guys emit, how is that being? Does it look different now than it was, say, before the first of the year? I mean, are people reacting differently?
Yeah, and for me, they're actually received because, and our soul brother mentioned this, what makes a lot of sense too. Because the mind control system is dissipating, others are coming more into the love, really having to understand like family is really all there is and love is all there is. I feel like because they're able to expand their consciousness now because they're questioning everything.
Yeah.
So something that I'm aware of that I talk to others about in family or just like newcomers to this mission, they're actually able to receive downloads now. Because you have to really be open to receive information from a higher level, right? But you're not able to if you're in the mind too much. And so when you come out of the mind, and again, the stronger that you hold the 0 point, the more information you can get, because you have to be open. That's the thing. It's not even about being awakened. It's about being awakened and being open to receiving. Yeah. And so for me, it's like now on my Facebook and social media, I'm like seeing others like actually asking for help. Like, I'm awakened. What do I do? I'm getting information. It's too much, but that's just because Mother Gaia, this planet, basically what I wanted to share was that she was saying that she's suffocating because of all the negativity. Yeah. And that she can't anymore. She's done. It's time for us to unite as one, to come back together, right? And so now for me, that everybody's like waking up, they're seeing the truth of what's going on, whether it's from my information or from all the other starseeds out there. Now they've expanded so much. Now they're able to receive. And the thing is, when you receive information from higher sources, you can't deny it. So people can't call me crazy and call themselves crazy anymore, because now they're actually experiencing it. That's the thing for me. They are now experiencing the awakening. Right, Heart? Don't you feel it?
So they have a different perspective when it comes to you and Robert.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, definitely.
Have you noticed a difference, Robert? Like with your family?
Yeah, it's definitely like, since we've been here, we go through these phases, and I feel like the energy builds up, and then there's a point where like we have to leave the area because it's just getting too much, or we're going to get asked to leave or something. So we have to leave, kind of like chill out, let everyone deal it, because just us being here, it's it brings others stuff to the surface. And so they're getting into with themselves, or there's stuff that we just like, you know, we're Grace and I have just always, and it probably goes back to even when we were little kids, but we've always been what I would say like natural triggers for stuff that people are pretending not to know about themselves.
Yeah. So
somehow something, and it's even like, I don't even know how, like, I'm not doing it consciously, but I'll say something and that's like triggering the exact thing. Like, I'll give you an example. It was just something with like, I personally don't like to eat a lot of frozen food, and my mom likes to make a lot of frozen food. So there was something like it came up, she kept wanting to give me like this frozen food and I just didn't want to eat it. And so it just came like, it was just this blowout, you know? So it's just little things like that. But I have noticed everyone, like in more recent times, just because of what's going on collectively with all the energies, my family has kind of come together more, and they're much happier that we're here. And everyone's like, even those people are going through their stuff from moment to moment, it seems like they're able to get rid of it easier. You know, my sister's a Kundalini teacher, and she's been in the transformation game for over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got my mom into a transformation.
So you're not totally dealing with, the same thing a lot of people. Yeah.
No. You know, my dad went through one of the trainings, and then, you know, it was like a 3-part training that like my whole family did, like went all the way through to the leadership, except my dad went through the first one, and I was like, oh, no, that's not for me. And then, so he, you know, and he knows what's up, but then he's like, I'm just going to sit. And he's like, I'm happy with the way things are. I don't want to change anything. And that's just his energy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so we honor him and he honors us. And, you know,
That's
constantly
cool.
we constantly like trigger each other, but you know, he's like, I would say it's like water off a duck's back, that story, you know, he just lets things slide. One of his sayings he always used to say when I was younger was, is this going to matter 5 years from now?
Yeah.
So I feel like he's already like, why are you giving it so much energy kind of thing?
Yeah. It's always going to be all right.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah. That's just the program.
Yeah.
That it's not.
Yeah. And so, and so like I mean, it seems like too that what's happening is just, you know, like observing people. There's a lot of reevaluation when it comes to family. Our actions, their actions, what's the situation, just missing people, thinking of people, you know, so I would imagine they are very happy that you guys are there, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like we're really able to balance the energy, and we just bring so much light that I feel like it allows everyone to feel more peaceful, which is why I feel spirit just naturally knew that we had to be here for however time it is, just because we're already at the light. Like, I know I'm at the light, and I know I'm of love. You know, and I'll say something, Todd, you mentioned this about the dark and the light. You know, I am aware that I had to, for me, the dark is really there to assist.
Yeah.
It's just a balance of yin and yang. See, once there's yin and yang in self, there's yin and yang in everything, right?
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, aside from self, again, I mentioned what the planet, what Mother Gaia has shown me is there is an imbalance still there. And that's why, again, bring back the Avatar movie. In Avatar movie, there's still one. But what is the opposite force? The opposite force is money. It's greed. It's all those things. And that's what's happening is Mother Gaia is like, no, we don't need to be so separate and opposite anymore. We can bring more balance where there is no more poverty, where everyone is abundant. Because New Earth, everything is abundant. There's no lack anywhere. And that's the thing is why Mother Gaia is saying, hey, you guys got to stop this. I'm done with there being so much bridging, and it's time to come together, you know, co-create as one, you know. I'm
going, and she's like saying, I'm going, and you know, whether you come or not, that's none of my business.
Yeah.
It's time to leave the nest. It's time to grow.
She's like, I give you a free ticket and a free seat on the ship. You know, it's up to you to be able to maintain it.
So what about like Grace, when we talked the other night, you were talking about how you went to the store and the lady was behind you and you said, hey, I'm an ET, you're an ET. Did you ever say anything like that in front of Robert's family?
Oh yeah, for sure, all the time. Oh yeah, his mom is very awake. She knows what's going on. She's been getting a lot of downloads lately too. Wow. And I'll actually share her message. Her message was, and she talks the other side. She's got a lot of guardians, and she said, and it made a lot of sense, she brought up the tree of life, which is also, again, from the movie Avatar, the tree of life is the tree of, is Awa, right? The ancestors.
I remember that. Yeah.
So, and I've been there. It's beautiful. I call her home tree. But she said that Mother Gaia is basically deleting all the weeds.
All the weeds?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a big download she got.
Does that make sense? The
Well,
weeds.
yeah, if you look at it energetically, yeah, absolutely. Because the weeds could be many things in the physical representation. But yeah, I mean, how can we, it's just like what Robert was talking about, going in, creating a 5D business enterprise. You can't build it with any board lumber from the 3D. It all has to be 5D technology. So yeah, that makes total sense. And you can look at that and in a lot of ways. Well, the crumbling of the systems is a big one that stands out. The kind of the unification of frequencies like family or relationships, because people are being forced to look at themselves and spend time with people that they just kind of say hi to on their way to their daily routines. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's a lot to be said for pulling weeds, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So it's like, this is her home. This is our home, right? And if we're not taking care of ourselves in our home, well, then it's time to go. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. Those that want to be of love and bring the light and also build new earth are here. Those that don't want to do it are going to go home.
And that's to me what I found interesting with what I was referring to earlier about that program I was watching before this show. It's like any narrative is inapplicable now to me. It's just, if it has any story in it at all of one side or another, it doesn't even matter what the issue is or what the narrative is. If there's one side over here, one side over there, it just does not compute. It just doesn't compute. And to me, that is a codependent frequency, right? Because one can't live without the other, so it's kind of like paradoxical. Because there is the yin yang thing, but it's like that's it. That's it. I mean, like you said, in 5D, there is none of that. It's just
and the human wants the story, right? Like it wants to know where it came from, why we're doing this, and all that jazz. And once we surrender and we come into the flow, the story dissolves and we're guided. And so it's been interesting because I've noticed since I've been back here with the family, like my human aspect will get involved more with the story, and then I separate from it again because my dad's on the news 24/7 and those things. So these things come in and then weave away, and then I come back to the center. And so it's been really interesting to watch how the human wants to have a story. It just needs to have something to be like, oh, this is why this happened. This is the history. This is that. And then really, like when we're in the new earth, and we're just operating that new earth frequency, there is no story. We're being guided. We're being impulsed. It's feeling based, and you know where to go. And it doesn't matter how it all happened or how you got here. It's completely irrelevant because you're just now here.
Yeah. It's getting easier to walk away and not engage. Because we've learned, right? I mean, like for someone like you, Grace, who's been tapping in the way you've been tapping in for 6 years, like to come back, you were talking about the other night when we talked, you were talking about having to embody and be the human part, and it's kind of difficult sometimes when you get hit with, this stuff. Like if somebody is watching the news 24/7, or they're constantly referring to the narratives out there, which you're seeing a lot of there. It's gotten easier to make because it's becoming obvious that's the best place to be, is to be in that neutral state, because you don't fluctuate, you don't spin out, and there's more peace and there's more fire, Yeah. So what happens from here? What do you think? Both of you, let me know. I'm like, what are you feeling?
Hmm.
Grace is going into deep thought.
Yeah. Should bring in the channel.
Okay. Well, what I'm getting is that others are going to have more awareness. There's more awareness to what's going on. And the awareness is what really enhances our psychic abilities. It allows us to see the truth.
Yeah.
And with that, then we can create. I feel like that was part of the issue, which wasn't an issue for me. I mean, in the beginning, for sure. I mean, it's like once your third eye turns on, it's like, whoa, okay, I can see I'm in a hologram. I can see energy. I feel like now that others can see truth, we can build from that.
Yeah.
We can, because that's the thing about this planet too, is that everyone feels or has this assumption that we have to work a 9 to 5 to be happy, and you don't. You're able to actually live your dream, be successful, create, receive money for energy that you are whatever you're creating and doing, you're happy doing, and you're getting money for it.
Yeah, doing something you love.
Yeah.
Not something that you hate because you have to. No. But that's the thing. That's the old paradigm. That's the old earth is like, I need to do this 9 to 5 to make. No, we don't have to. We can actually live our dream, build our dream, and serve and have fun and celebrate, all at the same time. We don't have to. It doesn't, that's part of the illusion. Like we can.
Yeah. When we started this Zoom, I pulled the card, the first card I pulled was celebration. And that's really like, what I feel is like where we go from now is like we knew this was going to happen, but we didn't know how it was going to happen or what was going to go down. But we've been doing all this ascension work, and collectively, like we hit that 100th monkey point that there's just so many people that are awakening on the frequency that it's literally started to, crumble the old system. And so what's going on, everything matches up. And so now we're in that phase of like, there's so many more people awakening and like what's going on, and they know like what's being told is not really what is, and there's too many, they're starting to question and look in. So then eventually you start to look in, you'll go through at least for me, you go through that phase, and then at a point you're like, who gives a shit anymore? What do I want?
That's the point, I think.
Yeah. It's like all that stuff, like, oh, that's great. And it all dissolved. And then it's like, well, who gives a shit about all that? Like what's calling to my soul, and what do I want to create? And what's coming through me?
It's like our whole life, all our lives, we all tapped onto a primary narrative, whether it be religion or country or relationship. But and we would jump like from one to the other, like Tarzan going through the jungle, swinging from vines. And I think that's one of the things I see happening too. Is like, you got this fear-based programming going on. You got the savior-based programming going on. The fear-based program is the oldest one in the book. And that's the one where I see people going, you know what? I don't care anymore. You know what? Whatever. And then the other one, kind of like the last best possible fairy tale narrative that still takes your power, because you're not dealing with your fear, and you're putting all your eggs in one basket, that it's going to not be what it said it was, and it's going to take you to the same place. I think that's where we're all going, where there's nothing left but ourselves in the universe, standing there in that two-way mirror, looking at each other.
Yeah, going, now what? Yeah.
Hey, this is all I got. Well, yeah, this is all you need. This is all you ever needed, like Dorothy, clicking the heels.
Yeah, there's no place like home.
Exactly. I saw a meme today. It said, "Get your ass home." So, do you guys have anything coming up that you want to announce? Anything that you're doing? Any pages you want to direct people to? That type of thing. I would strongly suggest you, if you do, to speak about it, but also to put the links in the Facebook comments on my page.
Yeah, we can do that. I would say follow both of our Instagrams. That's our primary. Grace is very active on Facebook, but my Instagram is Masterlight Illuminator. Grace, your Instagram is
Grace _ Palomino.
And then we have a collective Instagram that is at New Earth is Real. So we also have a website that is down right now. It'll come back up with newer information when we relaunch. So New Earth is Real. There's also a YouTube channel, New Earth is Real. So I would look out for that. Right now, some of the stuff you'll see on there, like I'll take some of the downloads from like Lisa Transcendence Brown or Sandra Walters, the text downloads. I'll convert them to voice so people can digest them, because a lot of people like to digest it that way than read it. So there's some of that stuff on there. And then, so I would just stay tuned to what's coming through us, because I mean, there's so much that we've put together, and then it's kind of like, okay, what's the channel, and how's it going to come out? And I can tell you, like right now, literally, we felt like before all this quarantine, it felt like we were in quarantine, and then the real quarantine happened, and I'm like, oh, okay, makes sense. But we felt like we've been like in this little holding pattern to let some stuff move around, and then there'll be, the new will come through.
That resonates. And I know Grace is, because I steal a lot of her memes when I shared this.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. Thank you. The memes help. I'm telling you.
Sure they do. Yeah, there's because I try to share like 30 posts a day, and there's certain go-to people I know I can go find something. Grace is one of them. Usually has some pretty diverse stuff in there.
Yeah, her story, Grace keeps her Instagram story constantly active. I mean, there's like never less than 5 or 10 items in her story. I go through phases where like I'm totally in, and then sometimes I just put the technology kind of down and I'm out of the social media, but Grace always stays in.
You know what else, Todd, is I feel is happening with this whole thing? When you are in the awakened state, and I know that you experienced this, others are starting to see the synchronicities.
Yeah.
Because when you see the synchronicities, you're like, it just, your soul knows that specific message is for you. Yeah. When you're driving in the Matrix or whatever, and you see the license plates or shirt or hat, whatever it is, you're like, it's like the universe telling you. And I feel like, again, this whole thing is expanding others so much in their awareness. Yeah. Because I even had a soul brother in London that I've known for years. He's like, Grace, he's like, I've been purging. He's like, I'm expanding way more. He's like, my psychic abilities are so much more open than they've ever have been. Even sometimes my human question is like, are you really a psychic? Yes, I'm really a psychic. Are you a psychic? Yes, you're really a psychic. It's okay to be one. It's a beautiful thing. We're here to help others expand. And the synchronicities, I feel, are really more apparent now for others.
Absolutely.
And the synchronicities also help clear the program, because you can see the magic.
Yeah, I was like, in the beginning of my journey, like Grace used to take me on these drives, and she would just ask me like, what do I see? And I would tell her, and she's like, no, you're seeing all the 3D stuff. She's like, and I would throw something in there, and she'd be like, yeah, that's the 5D. And so we would go through that, and it was like reorienting where the focus was. And then that was reprogramming, my system. And then now when we go out, it's just like,
we see only the new Earth.
This is back 2 years ago, but yeah,
see,
she used to take me on
that's one of the beautiful things when a shadowed man hooks up with a divine feminine on the rise. you start to get some of that good instruction. Yeah.
And if you feel called, if anyone feels called, Grace does have a website, graceakasha.org, where she does sessions and things like that. And if you want a session with me, you can just comment in her box when you order it, and we can get it together.
He's a great hypnotherapist. Like, he does really good hypnotherapy. I recommend it. It's amazing. Actually, I feel like I want one.
Yeah, and then we have so many different card decks. So if someone wants a reading or anything, like, we're in service. Feel free to reach out. We accept New Earth donations, but we're not, we don't require anything. So you know how it works.
Yeah, I believe that's how it should work. And that's how it will work. So yeah, if you would put up those links, and then YouTube, Soldier One channel, I can't even talk, I'm so turned. Soldier One Studios channel, put a comment in, because it's live there now too.
Okay, cool.
Put a comment there so I can find it, and then I'll subscribe to you, and then I'll start being able to circulate that stuff.
Perfect.
All right. You guys
Todd,
take care.
One more question, Todd, for you. Todd, can you share what is your experience recently? Like, how are you doing?
How am I doing?
Yeah.
You know what? I think when did we talk? We really seriously, we talked Sunday night, I think.
Yeah, I believe it was Sunday. Yes.
Sunday.
You tell us about the silver dragons, and you had just talked to Sandra Walter. So yeah, just
Sandra was Saturday, Romeo was Sunday. Last week was
yeah. So it
fourth.
was Saturday night because you had done
Okay.
Sandra that day.
Okay. Yeah. I would say probably from about Saturday to right now. I feel like I'm dog paddling in the ocean and there's no land anywhere. You know, I'm just like and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean I can tell there's a lot of energy coming down, and I have a lot of energy. And normally I can knock out, 3-4 shows a day, 5 days, no problem. But I'm really feeling like, this is taxing me.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got to reassess this real quick. But I think it's right. I think
good.
it's the energy, it's the
Yeah.
energy. And I rested last night and I took a nap yesterday, but I can just feel it. Like I'm very dehydrated, which tells me that my DNA is working overtime. So drink some water, eat some vegetables, whatever. But yeah, I feel good and I feel great about what's happening. I'm really excited. I'm just a little bit depleted, and I've got to watch my pace, which makes sense. It makes sense because I think whatever's happening, Sandra said Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah. So we're in it.
Yeah, we're in it, and it certainly feels like something is about to break wide open, or at least level up in a huge way. And to your point, it's not just the light workers getting the synchronicities and the expansions and the downloads, it's everybody.
Right.
So that changes the dynamic totally, because it almost like brings in that new frequency where everybody's starting to acknowledge what we haven't been acknowledging.
Right. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Love you, Todd, so much.
Love you.
Love
We'll see
you.
y'all this year. We'll get back together.
Definitely. Okay. And for everyone out there watching, this is the time to celebrate.
Yeah.
This is it. This is everything we've been training for, everything we came down to this planet for. So this is our moment.
That's right. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Grace.
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.